Today, we are diving into a topic that's critical for anyone who's looking to build cancer resilience, and that is inflammation. If you've ever wondered how inflammation is connected to cancer and how to control it through your diet, then this video is for you. Welcome back to our Proving Cancer Strategies Revealed 90 Days to Cancer Resilience series. I'm Debbie Sadie-Fi, and let me start with a question. When you think of inflammation, what comes to mind? So maybe it's about like a swollen ankle or a sore throat, and that's one kind of inflammation. But today we are talking about something a little deeper, and that is chronic inflammation, the type that quietly lingers in your body and can increase your risk of cancer. So, what is inflammation? Here is a quick breakdown for you. Inflammation is your body's natural defense mechanism. So, when you get a cut or an infection, your immune system sends in reinforcements. That would be white blood cells, antibodies to help you heal. And that's the kind of inflammation we want. It's healthy and short term. But when inflammation sticks around too long, that's when we're in trouble. That is chronic inflammation that can damage cells over time. And when those cells get damaged, they're more likely to become cancerous. So think of it like this. Imagine your immune system is a firefighter and the inflammation is a fire. In the short term, the fire needs to be put out, and that's great. But if the fire keeps on burning, maybe not a huge fire, maybe just smoldering away, it starts to damage everything around it. And eventually, it could lead to something serious like cancer. Now, you may be wondering, is there actual science to back this up? And the answer is absolutely. In a study published in the Lancet Oncology, it showed that people with chronic inflammatory conditions like Crohn's disease or chronic hepatitis are at a higher risk of developing cancer in those inflamed areas. The researchers found that inflammation can actually alter the DNA of the cells, making them more susceptible to turning into cancer cells. And what's even more fascinating is that cancer itself can cause inflammation. Oh, that's a vicious cycle where inflammation promotes cancer and cancer promotes inflammation and so on and so on. And so breaking that cycle is really going to be your key. And so you may have a question as to how can I tell if I have chronic inflammation? And that's a great question because chronic inflammation isn't always obvious. You may not feel any pain or see any swelling. Instead, it can manifest as things like fatigue, digestive issues, or frequent infections. Now, you can have blood tests like CRP, which is C reactive protein, can help you detect inflammation. But the best first step is to focus on reducing inflammation in your everyday life, especially through what you are eating. Inflammatory foods are your first line of defense. And that's the good news is that you can control chronic inflammation through your diet. Foods can either fuel that fire, put gasoline on it, or help put it out. And here are some powerful anti-inflammatory foods that you'll want to include. First on the list is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries are loaded with antioxidants that help cool down that inflammation. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard contain nutrients like vitamin E, which have been shown to combat inflammation. And turmeric is golden spice, contains curcumin, which is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that we know of. Studies show that it can reduce inflammation pathways in the body and make it a great addition to your meals. You can add some to a smoothie, put it into a sauce. People probably won't even notice it. And if you think of these foods like fire extinguishers, every time you eat them, you're spraying a little bit of water on that smoldering fire of inflammation. And the more you include them in your diet, the cooler the fire becomes and the less likely that it's going to cause damage over time. And on the flip side, foods like processed sugars, refined carbs, and trans fats act as that gasoline on the fire. They only make the inflammation worse. And how often should I eat inflammatory foods to see benefits? Ideally, you want to include anti inflammatory foods in every meal. It doesn't have to be complicated. Add some berries to your breakfast, toss a leafy green salad up for lunch, and sprinkle some turmeric into your dinner. The key is consistency. Making these foods a regular part of your routine is what will help keep that inflammation in check over time. Besides diet, there are a few other lifestyle factors that can help reduce your chronic inflammation. So it's not just about what you eat, but what you eat is a critical component. It is the building block to start with. Exercise, like regular movement, actually helps to reduce inflammatory markers in the body. Even just doing a 20-minute walk can have anti inflammatory effects. You can need to, we talked about this one before, manage your stress. Chronic stress is a huge driver of inflammation. Try incorporating stress reducing activities into your day, like meditation, deep breathing, or even just unplug your phone for a bit. And deep breathing, we typically breathe fairly shallow, but deep breathing, you can do that anywhere, anytime. You just have to focus and be mindful to actually do it. So let's do just one deep breath right now. So, what I want you to do is breathe in through your nose and then breathe out through your mouth and activate your stomach muscles to help with that deep breathing. So let's do it now. And even with one deep breath, you can feel calmer. And then the third thing I'm going to talk about is sleep. Lack of sleep can increase your inflammation. So aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. And if you're not getting enough sleep during the day, our body is busy with all of the things that it's doing, like digestion, keeping us awake, thinking, all sorts of things, and that all of the energy is going to our waking hours. So at night is the time when our body gets a chance to regroup, check on those inflammation, and try and get rid of some of those things in our body. It's like, if you have do some house cleaning and taking it out of the house and doing that house cleaning, that's when your body does that when we're sleeping. That's when it puts the energy into that. And if you're not getting enough sleep, the body doesn't have enough time to go through its cleaning routine. So you need to get quality sleep. And here's one other interesting point around omega-3 fatty acids. It's backed by research that studies are showing that omega-3 fatty acids found in flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds can drastically reduce inflammation in the body. In one study, participants who added omega-3s to their diet saw a significant drop in their CRP levels, which is a key marker for inflammation. So don't forget to include healthy fats in your meals. You might ask, we had this question yesterday, but can supplements be enough to help reduce that inflammation? Supplements can be helpful, but they should not be your main strategy. Real whole foods contain a wide variety of anti-inflammatory compounds that work together, something that supplements can't fully replicate. Plus, whole foods come with fiber, which also plays a role in reducing inflammation, especially in the gut. So focus on food first and use supplements as a bonus if needed. And you cannot have supplements to uh, take the place of a healthy diet. It never works. You already have to eat healthy before you do that. All right. OJ, any questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned about inflammation, and I want to know, is there any body part that we might not that might not be able to get inflamed? Is that possible?
I think inflammation is something that just kind of becomes part into the body in different areas. I think there are areas that are more
Okay.
prone to inflammation, but it's a good question. I'm going to research that, and we can bring that up tomorrow.
All right. Thank
But I
you.
don't think there's anywhere that gets away without inflammation. I gotta
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our little bit of a deep dive into inflammation today and how it connects to cancer. Remember, chronic inflammation is like a fire that can smolder for years, but you have the tools to keep it under control with anti inflammatory foods and lifestyle changes. And here's your challenge this week, try to include at least one anti inflammatory food in every meal, whether it's adding your berries to your breakfast, throwing spinach in your smoothie, or sprinkling some turmeric on your dinner. Make it a priority. And here's something to think about. What are some other foods that are anti inflammatory? And how do you know which foods help fight inflammation? So drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and to our YouTube channel. You can hit the bell in the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our sessions. And tomorrow we're going to talk about anti inflammatory foods. We'll see you then. Until then, stay resilient.